We have got our sun moving, or has moved, should I say, into Capricorn. We've got our Venus moving into Sagittarius, and we've got some emotional energy this week, my friend. This is your Sidereal Astrology Forecast for the week of January 15th. My friend, it is the third week of this 2024 year. If you are new here, hey, my friend, Danny C. Muniz, spiritual healer, intuitive astrologer, and now podcaster. Yes, my friend, the Cosmic Mystic podcast is now live. It was birthed this last week. It is out there in the world. You can actually see it here on the channel if you are catching this on YouTube. You can also find this recording over on the podcast as well. So if you're somebody that wants to just listen to it, you can listen to it in on the podcast, and you can get that on all your favorite platforms: Amazon, Spotify, Google, Apple. Who else? YouTube. And if you're catching this on the podcast, you can see this also on the channel, on the YouTube channel, Keeping It Real with Sidereal. I'm so excited to have it on both places now so that you can either see the images if you want to see the images, or you just want to take some notes, or maybe you just want to refer back to it later in the week. And or maybe when you're driving, you want to listen to this and you don't want to be looking at the screen. So however way you want to experience I was going to say podcast. You want to experience this information, I've got it for you, my friend. So excited to have that as a new channel for us here. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what we have going on. We do have our sun did move into Capricorn yesterday. So we had that shift in our sky, and we will see in just a second here that the sun is now in that beautiful energy of Capricorn. So let me tell you this: Capricorn is you can see it here, and is coming up against right here. You can see it coming up against Pluto here. So we're going to talk about that. But this is in Capricorn. So Capricorn it's the element of earth. So it is very grounded. It's actually the last of the earth elements. So we start with Taurus, then we go into Virgo, and then finally we hit into Capricorn. And so if we look at those levels as maybe even ages or time frames, it really helps us kind of understand that energy a little bit more. So Taurus is kind of like the baby. You might think you can relate it to like elementary school, like kind of figuring some things out, getting some foundations in, just kind of exploring the material world, right? And then we move into Virgo, which is the ideas of, if we look at it from like that school standpoint, it's more of like high school, right? Like a junior high moved into high school, where we're starting to set up systems and structures, and we're starting to get used to routines and doing things, right? Actually, it's very interesting. If you look at your teenagers, if you have a teenager or you've had a teenager in the past, I have lived in it with a teenager in the past, so I know what this is like. Is they are trying to perfect things, right? They think they know it all. It's very much the Virgo energy. They think they know it all because they're trying to perfect things, and they could spot things out like, that's not right, that's not how we do it anymore, we could do it this way, right? It could be better. That's why that younger generation has that just great energy to kind of push us forward, right? And then we have our Capricorn. Now, Capricorn, you can think of like college and into adulthood. And Capricorn energy is like, I know some things. I've become the master, right? I am the master at this, right? I know how to do this. I know that we need to have these foundations in place. I understand that there is planning that is involved. I understand the idea of delayed gratification. That is our Capricorn energy. And so our consciousness right now is moving into that energy. Now, there is going to be an episode on the podcast, so shout out to the podcast here, about Capricorn season coming up later this week. So definitely make sure that you follow the podcast and check out that video coming up later this week, or that video. Wow. That audio. How about that? Okay. So, one thing I have to get used to, right? Okay. So, let's talk about this guy right here. We have our Sun and Pluto conjunct. So, the sun is the consciousness, and Pluto is very much that energy of power, control, transformation. And so when these two energies are together, right, they're hanging out together. Pluto has been, at home, chilling, doing his thing, really changing our ideas around things, right? As we see a lot of transformation in our world right now. And so the sun comes to visit. And so because these two energies are together, we see more energy, we have greater strength, we have more motivation to do the hard work. It's like, okay, it's like we're gonna gear up, right? And because they're both in Capricorn, even more so, my friend, even more so, like, okay, like, let's get things done, let's do this. Like, there's so much energy and power right now that I'm gonna tell you, like, let's go, let's make this happen. And we're gonna see this for a couple of days here. One thing I do want to mention here is there could be some ego conflicts, power struggles that are happening, or even self esteem issues. Pluto and Capricorn energy, right? We can have some of that here. So I want you to think about. I often say that whenever we're talking about Saturn, we have like that, we kind of can feel like that dark cloud, like it just keeps following us no matter where we go, going along. And here it is. It can feel like that. And so it can make things feel very restrictive. It can make things feel very tough. It can make things feel like we're not good enough. So all of those kind of like lower vibration energies can be coming into our thoughts and into our system as it is navigating this energy too. So we could have, again, it could be you're feeling really powerful and really strong, but then there also can be like, oh, yeah, but I haven't been able to do this in the past, right? Where we start looking at our past experience to dictate our future. We have to look at what's happening currently and moving from this position. I would say this is also a really good time to eliminate any bad habits, any destructive relationships, addictions, things that we may be tied to. There's a couple of different things that are really pushing that energy this week. So make sure that we use that. So, okay, how long is this going to be? We're going to see this pretty much through our entire week here, and we're going to see its actual conjunction right here on the 20th on Saturday, and then it's going to start to move away. So we're going to see this really strong this week and into the beginning of next week as well as we lead up into this energy. Okay, let's talk also about what the sun is doing over here with planet Pluto. So if we look over here, we can see that, I'm sorry, not Pluto, Jupiter. If we look over here, later this week, let me get to it, we're going to see, so we've had that Uranus, right, for a bit now, which I talked about in past videos. And we talked about that Neptune, sextile to Neptune. But I want to introduce you to this new square that we have. And this is going to actually take place on the day that the sun and Pluto make their conjunction. So this is on Saturday here. When we have this conjunction here, and this one here is, I'm sorry, not conjunction, when we have this square here with Jupiter and the sun, we're going to have this all the way through till the beginning of February. So February 2nd. So for the next couple of weeks, there's this energy of having a lot of confidence, feeling very lucky and optimistic, very proud. There's a lot of respect, a lot of moderation and discipline that we're going to want here, because the sun, right, is at the core, it's at the center of our solar system, if we think of it from that place. And Jupiter is all about growth and expansion and pushing past the limits, right? So we've just been in that energy of Sagittarius, which has been pushing beyond our boundaries, really getting out of our comfort zone. And now Saturn's here, Capricorn, because Saturn rules the energy, the zodiac of Capricorn. We have that energy of like, okay, let's get optimistic. Let's get real here. And so we're having this bit of this push and pull because Jupiter is in the energy of Aries, and Aries is very impulsive. It's wanting to get instant gratification. It wants it now. It wants to be the first, right? It's the baby of the zodiac. It's like the baby when it's crawling around and putting everything in its mouth, crying when it's needs changing or it's fed, right? It's instantly wants its needs met, and it will not give up until its needs are met, right? That's very much the Aries energy. And Capricorn, where the sun is now, is like, hold up, you can wait a little bit longer. We need to get our work done first before we can go play. We need to get things in order. So Jupiter's wanting us to take on the projects. It has all of this energy. It's like, let's go, let's do this, we got this, right? And the sun is like, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. What is our actual plan? What goals did we actually set? Are we doing the tasks that are related to those goals? Or are we just doing what is coming up? Are we just doing what is the new shiny object that has rolled into our consciousness? Like, we want to make sure that we are paying attention to what we are taking on during this time, especially over the next couple of weeks, my friend. Really zero in whether you have set your goals or whether you're just looking at what you want to accomplish in the week. So I just wrapped up the retreat to reset and realign, which is my favorite thing to do, especially at the beginning of the year. Is just take that time to reflect on the past year, to really take all of the yummy goodness from the year and step into setting the vision, right? Which is what we did this past weekend. It was so beautiful to take the ladies through that and just get that vision and get that perspective about what it is that we want to call in this new year. And so as we're doing that, right? Maybe you've just set that vision. This coming weekend, is the goal activation workshop as part of that retreat list. And so because of that, we might not quite have what the goals are yet. We haven't maybe solidified them yet. And I talked about in episode 4 in the podcast, I talked about how maybe now isn't the time for you to set goals. Maybe now is not that energy for you, right? There's a different time that we can set goals. December 31st or January 1st is such an arbitrary number. And so we can also take into account that we can set goals whenever we want. We can set it on the lunar new year. We can set it at the spring equinox. We can say February 1st, I'm going to set my goals, right? So if you're whatever it is you're working on over this next 2 weeks, though, make sure that whatever that is, that you're aligning that with whatever the vision is that you are creating or you are setting, or even that came up during the Sagittarius season. What came up for you? If it's like, you know what, I want to, one of the things on my vision board is creating, right? Or being part of these local women communities of entrepreneurs. I want to be in rooms with people who are making shit happen, like who are doing big things. And I want to be in that room. I want to be in the room with them, creating along with them. Like that's where I want to be this year. And so I can look at that vision and say like, okay, what can I do this week? What are my things this week that I can work towards to get through to that, right? Only focusing on one or two things. I've also been reading the book, The 12-Week Year, which is also in my head right now, of really creating one or two top 3 things to work on over the next 12 weeks and really hone your energy on. And I've really been looking at that myself. So just make sure that you are not overdoing it, not pushing yourself, because that energy does have a tendency for you to want to do that, for you to want to push past that. All right. So then let's move on into a couple other things that I want to share with you this week that we have going on, which is Mercury. So Mercury and Mars have been kind of hanging out, right? We've been seeing them coming and coming and coming and getting really close to each other. And so they are almost fully conjunct here. This is going to be taking place until the beginning of February. So over this next period here, and we'll see this. We saw this come at the end of actually, it started to come at the end of last week, and it's going to be in its full place here. So here we see on the 17th, we see them coming together. So they've been leading up to each other. They're coming together on the 17th, and that'll be through February 4th. And so Mars here is really increasing our mental activity, giving us the ability to be more focused, which is hello. Does anybody else want some extra focus around here? This can also bring up this energy is so intense that we're going to want to apply this energy because it's Mars, and Mars is a very, very intense. And anytime we're talking about Mars, like we want to use some type of pathway or some type of way to release that energy. And so because it is with Mercury, we're going to want to release it through some mental work. So whether that's studying, whether that's investigating, maybe it's like doing those puzzle games or an actual physical puzzle, those crosswords, anything where logic is involved, like it needs to get stimulated. It needs to be able to use that mental energy, because if it's not, what's going to happen is we're going to get into an argumentative position. We're going to get into defending a position. There's a lot of aggression and defensive nature that can be part of our thinking, whether we do this or not. Like this is going to be happening, but by allowing ourselves to have some type of mental activity to release that energy, it'll release some of that, so that we're not getting into the arguments, that we're not getting so triggered so easily or having those quick reactions. So I want you to just be mindful of this. In what ways are you working your mind? Like I think about handsome Jake. He's not able to go outside right now because we have some pretty cold weather, and he's a sensitive dog. He can't regulate his temperature very well. And so because of that, like I don't want him to go outside, or we haven't been going on any walks. But his mind still needs to be stimulated. And so I'm setting up little things for him to do. I've been watching Instagram for some really good ideas on how to keep his mental activity going when he doesn't have those walks that he likes to take, right? To really release that energy for him. So I'm, looking for ways to do that for him, looking for ways to also do that for myself. What am I going to do? I have some workshops and classes that I've purchased or that I haven't been able to watch. And I know that's what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks as well, as I'm making sure that I'm allowing myself to get that mental stimulation and applying that as well. And so we also have this, and I want to show you because this is also going to be, we have Mercury here with making a square to Chiron. And so we have this coming up at the very, very end of the week. And when we see this here, this is going to be adding into here. So Mercury and Chiron is where, Chiron is our deepest wounds. It's the healer, right? And so there could be a lot of healing happening, which is really beautiful, through working some of the friction maybe that we may be having with our past experience, our past wounds. We could also be working through to find more validation in our wisdom and validation of our message. And through that, by sharing our story, sharing even if you're not quote unquote influencer, right? Even if you're not somebody who you think has an audience, even sharing your story with a friend, or sharing your story with a neighbor, or sharing your story with somebody that you come across, they may need to hear what your experiences has been to give them hope, right? Because you're on the other side of it, and they either may be in it, they may be just out of it, right? Or they may be just starting it. And so they can see the hope and the possibilities by you sharing your story. So we can use this time to really share that information with others. If you hear somebody or you see somebody, right? You never know what message they need to hear, and you might be the messenger for them. All right, let's take a look at the one of the last things I want to look at here before we talk about where our moon's going to be, and that is Venus. So Venus has moved into Sagittarius on the as of the 18th. So later this week here, we'll see her move into, she's right here in Scorpio, and then on the 18th we see her moving. Actually, she's still at the very edge, but within the next hour here, you'll see she moves into Sagittarius. So 11 a.m. on the 18th, she will move into Sagittarius. And so she has been in Scorpio, and Venus in Scorpio is very deep. It's very intensive energy. And so Venus does rule our relationships, love, beauty, money. And so there's been a little bit of an intenseness here. Well, Venus in Sagittarius, she is all about passion and exploration. She is that sense of adventure. She's into intellectual connection, right? This is more of an expansive, optimistic energy. And so we'll be navigating our emotions, right? Especially around relationships and money from a very optimistic perspective, from a very like, ooh, there's the possibilities and the hope here because Jupiter is so optimistic. So we can also use this energy, as I said earlier, to break free from some routines, to allow ourselves to step into new experiences, right? To lean on other perspectives to expand how we may be doing something and break free from that monotony, which is an unfulfilled life, right? Sagittarius also urges us to express our feelings and our desires. And so with Venus here, you may find it easier to express your feelings, or you may be on the receiving end of people wanting to express their feelings and not caring whether you care or not, right? Whether you wanted to hear their 2 cents. So we may see some of that because Sagittarius is a little bit more blunt. It's a little bit more, kind of in your face about things. It doesn't really lack. It lacks tact. Let's just say, but it is really seeking that true knowledge and that true information. So I'm just going to say we can use this to work through some uncharted emotional territories, but with some enthusiasm and an open heart. So Sagittarius season will run from the 18th of January all the way through the 11th of February. So we've got some good time here to be in that energy of expansive growth and optimistic energy around relationships. I am going to say though, my friends, for those of you that are dating, I am going to say you may be over optimistic about the person you are seeking or going out with. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's talk about where our moon is going to be this week, because our moon is going to be hitting a couple of different planets. So we're going to begin this week in Aquarius, which is more of our emotional energy. I'm sorry, Aquarius is our air energy. So it doesn't lack emotion. It's just very disconnected from emotion. It's very logical. And so we'll see that here with the moon over here on, there we go, the 15th. We have it near Neptune here. And so Neptune, pay attention to your dreams right now, my friend. They definitely connected to this dreamy, creative energy. So there's a balance of logic and logic within creativity here. So we might be having more of a logical, creative attunement to things right now. As we move into Tuesday, the moon will be moving into Pisces, and it'll be in Pisces, which is a water sign, through Wednesday. This is more of that dreamy creativeness. If there's things that you're working on that are more of a creative aspect, this is where you want to bring it in, or be in more of a flow. So not such a rigid schedule, not such a, every little minute of your day, but allowing white space, allowing space to explore, space to expand, space for creativity. For sure. We will also be in conjunction with Chiron and the North Node here. And so I do want to say there are a lot of those emotions coming forward, especially as we look at it with it making that connection to Venus. So a lot of emotions may be coming out here Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday as well. So whether that's working through emotions or whether that's on the end of outbursts, because we do have a square with Mars here and Venus. When we look at this, we can see here we have the square coming over here, first off to the Sun and Pluto, and then we have it over here with, we have the trine over here with Mars. So lots of energy coming through here. So I just want you to be mindful of your emotions may be a little bit out there a little bit bigger over the next week. And we may find some of those emotional outbursts, some anger, some frustration, some disagreements through moodiness, right? Because with Mercury and also with, with the moon, that could definitely be causing some, a battle, right, of ideas, and us needing that mental exertion with that Mars energy. So I'm just going to say, my friend, just be very mindful, right? And do whatever it is for yourself. Take a pause. Take a pause before you're saying anything. Be sure to be aware of how you're feeling and why something may have triggered you, because there's also some really good opportunity within when you are getting triggered to allow yourself to explore what that is for you and why maybe even you got frustrated about that. So that's where our learning happens, when we choose to step out of that victim kind of mentality and really take that as an observation of saying, like, it's just the way I am, like this is just how I am, to saying like, what is it about that, right? How can I look at that, and is that indeed a mask or a cover for something? So, my friend, this has been your Sidereal Astrology Forecast for the week of September. Oh my goodness, of January 15th, 2024. I do want to invite you to join us over on. The podcast, the Cosmic Mystic Podcast, to take a listen to this week's later episode all about Capricorn season, and also to invite you into one of my favorite places to hang out on Facebook, which is the Enlightened Soul Circles. You can go to the enlightenedsoulcircles.com/circle. This is a great community of healers, coaches, conscious leaders. Every week we have different things going on. Every Monday I am in there doing a oracle reading and talking about the energy for the week, and then like a message for the week. And then we have this week we actually have our healing. So every month we do a healing on a particular topic. So this week we are doing a healing. It's Thursday at noon Eastern, and you can get that information and register there. It's a free healing, a free monthly healing we do, me and my beautiful, amazing friend, Sandra Montour. So come and check that one out. We're going to do it around our foundations, creating our foundations, which is our theme for the month. So my friend, I'd love to see you over there. All right, that wraps us up for this week's Sidereal Astrology Forecast. My friend, sending you lots of love and light. Take a minute right now to close your eyes with me, and let's take a deep breath together and release and find peace.